Hi everyone, welcome to the Sisterhood Community Podcast. I'm back. It's great to be here. So we left off talking about the Sacral Chakra, and because of the time limit that I had, I am going to make a part 2. And we're still referring to Eastern body, Western mind. I'm just going to dive more into the Sacral Chakra because there's a lot of beautiful wisdom in this book, and I just feel like it is very enlightening, and as I go through the chakra system, I really feel like it'll bring some insights to you. So, all right, we're back. Here we go. So, where would I like to begin? So basically, like I had mentioned before, the sacral chakra is all about emotions, our sensuality, our sexuality, our creativity, just feeling really alive. And a big part of feeling alive is being able to feel in general, like knowing how we feel, honoring how we feel, moving through life, going towards what feels good and what nourishes us and allows us to feel sensual and creative and expressional. Yes, that's a word. I just made it up if it's not a word. Expressional. Might be a word, I'm not sure. Anywho's. So here we go. The second chakra, which is the sacral, it says the center of sensation and feeling, emotion and pleasure, intimacy and connection, movement and change. And what's happened is it's been turned, it's been twisted, squashed, and squandered, as it says, further severing the perceptual cognition of the mind from the sensate ground of the body. Without touch, we literally become out of touch. Dulled in our senses, behavior becomes senseless instead of sensible. So when we recover the second chakra and we begin to heal it, we reclaim our right to feel. So this looks like beginning to ask yourself, like, how do I feel about this? Maybe it's a decision, maybe it's clothing or a job, which is a decision, a relationship, a friendship. How do I feel about someone speaking to me this way? Does this feel good? Recognizing how we speak to ourselves, does that feel good? Really getting in tune with how we feel inside of our bodies. Because we've been taught to, like, with the whole schooling system, the job system, basically the whole matrix system in its totality, it's very narcissistic. It's reflected in our family systems. So our parents, our grandparents, they've all taken on these qualities of narcissism. And I'm not saying everybody, I'm just saying a majority, I will say, of the population in the US especially has become narcissistic. So when we're taught, like, you need to go this route in life. This is how you're going to be successful. This is how life is supposed to be, even though it doesn't feel great. Even though there's no time for play, there's no time for vacations and friends and really living life. This is the world that you're in, so deal with it, basically. So what's happened is we've just morphed ourselves into something we feel is socially acceptable. We find ourselves people-pleasing. And then when we grow up in narcissistic family dynamics where it's like the parents' needs or emotions are more valid than our own, or are told are more valid than our own, we basically just suppress how we feel, and we try to gain approval and acceptance and love from these people, which reflects in all our friendships, because they're just trauma bonding. If you haven't healed and you don't recognize your codependency and the codependency of another, what a break. So yeah, I feel the beginning of this is really beginning to ask ourselves how we feel. Because as we begin to honor how we feel, then we begin to reflect and be like, wow, we can reflect on situations that didn't feel great that we did anyway. We can recognize, maybe we didn't have boundaries. Because why else are we doing things that we don't really want to do? We can see our attachments to people's moods and just having them in our lives and just the codependency in its totality. And we can begin to unravel where that stems from. And then we can also begin to ask ourselves, like, what sexual abuse have we experienced? Were we exposed to sex at a young age? Like, what was our view of sex growing up? And for me, I believe I mentioned it, I'm not quite sure, but I was addicted to porn at the age of 6. I feel like I did mention this, I'm not sure. But basically, my father had a lot of porn videos and a lot of sex toys. And I was curious. He would be gone to the gas station, the store sometimes. I would look through his things. I would watch porn so much when he would leave, and I would rewind it to where he had left off because it was VHSs, also DVDs as well. But I didn't have to rewind those, of course. But yeah, I was exposed so young. I was molested at a young age by someone like a few grades older than me. I was like in kindergarten. Just sex was very distorted. It was viewed as like something that I felt I had to give a man to be loved by him, and basically formed I had that belief, subconsciously, and then it reflected in my actions, When I had a crush on somebody, if they wanted to make a move, most of the time I would open up. And then it wouldn't feel good, like during, because it's like, I wasn't doing it for me, I wasn't really ready. I was just doing it because this other person seemed interested in me, and I felt that I had to open my legs for us to have a connection. And yeah, over time in relationships, I always craved more. So I always would ask for like quality time and just one-on-one intimate time. And when I wasn't receiving that, then I would leave the relationship, go to another man, and it'd be just, everything would happen so fast until I became aware of it. Which, it took about 30 years, 29 years for me to become consciously aware of my pattern. And when you become consciously aware of it, it's like you decide then and there, do I want to continue this pattern or not? And no, the more you heal, you begin to honor your body and how you feel, and you're not going to go against that. So, baby, I'm going to say no, okay? I'm going to be more discerning now. I'm not just going to, like, open my whole body and everything about me up because it's sacred. And that's how you know you've stepped into your power as a woman, when you're like, absolutely not. Like, I'm not going to open up on the first date, literally. So, yeah, that took growth and awareness and stuff. So it's reclaiming our right to feel. We also reclaim our passion and pleasure, neediness and vulnerability, and our sensate connection to both inner and outer reality. We free the flow of dynamic energy that is essential for growth, change, and transformation, and let go of the armor that separates us. We can then reclaim the intimacy that we long for, ending our fragmented isolation. And sensuality and sexuality is an important part of life. It's just been distorted. Like, they've distorted it to where it's like it's not considered sacred anymore. Like, it's been so distorted to where it's like, oh, it's just sex. Let's give our bodies up to anybody. Let's not think about protection and things. Like, no, it's sacred. Like, women literally bring forth life. We bring the spiritual into the physical. Are you kidding me? When you think about the process of the egg and the sperm and how it starts off as microscopic and it turns into an embryo and a fetus, and then we literally birth that fetus into the world, it's magical. But the systems in place and just colonization and all the things that have happened, it's taken away it's tried to take away, and I would feel like it's placed an illusion over our eyes to where we don't see it as clearly, the magic of life and creation. We are all living beings connected to the divine. We all have God energy within us, divine energy. We are not separate from the divine. We are interconnected with the divine. But when we've had illusions placed over us since the moment we entered the schooling system, and then through our parents' belief systems, and then how they carried themselves in the world, everything feels physical. We're just in this physical world. Like, baby, have you looked at the sun, the clouds? You're literally a tiny speck, but a huge energy source. But when you zoom out, you see you're like a tiny speck in the infinite universe. Like, when I first started to become aware of this, I was like, whoa, I'm a soul in a physical body. This is my experience that I can create and do whatever I really want to do, in a healthy way, in a way that gives to myself and my tribe, and that is, it's not hurting anybody. But what I'm saying is we literally create our own reality, but we've allowed the systems in place to create the reality for us and to make our view of the world so limited. We've limited ourselves so much because they limited us. So it's about unraveling our belief system, getting to the root of our sufferings, which starts at childhood, so that we can begin to return to the innocence and the purity that we've always had within us of being a child and when we were born into this world. If you look at a baby, they're pure. They don't have granted, passed down traumas with birth and things, but the programming isn't there. They're pure. They're authentically them until people shut them down. They shut down their voice, their emotion. That's when they become molded into what people around them feel they should be. What's acceptable by those people. They make them small because they feel small inside. So that's really what's happened. The people around us, they haven't encouraged our dreams, or maybe they have, but I'm just speaking from my experience, and I know many others can relate. But when your dreams aren't encouraged and you're not celebrated in being who you are, what happens is you begin to make yourself small to make others comfortable. And that's what we're not doing anymore. All right? So that's why we're diving into the chakra system, baby, because it's important. And also, what I will say is if you're experiencing any physical ailments, it has to do with the chakra imbalances as well. So say you're having heart palpitations, I believe. I don't know how you say it exactly. Tightness, you have anxiety, it's your heart chakra is imbalanced. If you have brain fog, your mind's going wild, you're not able to have silence, your crown chakra, your third eye chakra. And then, like I said, the root affects all of those. So that's why we start at the root too, so that we can work our way up and begin to unravel things. Really get a more inner and understanding of our internal experience, and then how that's reflected outwardly. Letting go to movement. So in the first chakra, we learn to ground, stabilize, and focus. Now, the second chakra, our challenge is just the opposite: to let go, to flow, to move, to feel, to yield. Movement and change stimulate consciousness. They stir the watery essence of feelings that flow through the body. On the physical plane, movement literally gets us up off our butts, where we rise from the anchor of chakra 1 and expand outward. By moving the body, we build muscle tissue, increase circulation, stimulate nerve endings, and generally enhance the body's flexibility and aliveness. The flow of pleasure and excitation through the nervous system bathes the organism in sensation and awareness. Movement has its own pleasure. Now just think about your life. All right. Do you move a lot? And I'm not just talking about like walking to work or school or like little walks. I'm saying like, do you move your body? Do you dance? Do you really explore the movement of your limbs, your arms, your legs, your whole being, like the neck, like everything? If not, do it today. Like, do some movement in the mirror. Just really explore yourself. If you feel awkward, that's natural. You haven't done it maybe a long time, maybe ever. Start now. Don't do it with no judgment in your heart. Just really witness yourself moving, and then recognize how it feels when you're not thinking about how to move, but you're just moving, you're just flowing, all right? Because that also lets go of energy within the body. Because when we're not moving and we're all stiff and we're just walking around doing what we feel we have to do, you know, we're just, the energy's stuck. It's like you have to move. Your fascia is the largest tissue in the body. It is the connective tissue that is your nerves run through and things. And if you're not stretching and moving your bones, your skin, your muscles, you're tight. So I encourage you to dance, to do yoga. Look up yoga on YouTube if you don't know a lot of yoga moves, or you know you're not familiar with yoga at all. And just start today. Doesn't have to be long. Baby steps. Like every day, just do something else. By paying attention to the way we move, we can uncover previously buried issues and feelings. In the first chakra, the structural forms of the body gave us clues to unconscious process. In the second chakra, we observe the way these forms move and make contact. So I want to read about pleasure because it's good. So what do you do after completing a hard day of work? Most people relax and turn to pleasure of some kind. TV, smoking, eating. Once an organism has taken care of the survival needs, the next thing on the agenda is pleasure. It's biologically natural to move toward pleasure and away from pain. Pain makes us contract, withdraw, or shut down, whereas pleasure invites us to extend, expand, and tune into our senses. If our overall purpose in the second chakra is to stimulate movement, then pleasure is the most inviting way to accomplish this. So this really, like, that in itself makes me think of what we've been told pleasure is. Sex, drugs, alcohol, and how porn is so, like, broadcasted. Like, it's free to watch porn. You can go on something right now and watch porn all night if you want to. I don't recommend, because what you put into your what they call in the book, your operating system, what you put into your mind, like that's what you're feeding yourself. It's not healthy. Drugs. Marijuana has become legal in most of the United States. Alcohol has been legal. And it's poison. That's the reality. It's poison. I'm not saying don't enjoy some wine. I feel like wine is better for you simply because it comes from grapes. When it comes to liquor and beer and stuff, it's literally poison. I'm not saying wine doesn't have poison in it as well, but I don't know. I just feel it's more pure. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to other liquors, no. Stay away. Which may be a process, you know, if you've been dependent on it for so long. But yeah, pleasure's been so distorted from us. It's not about finding internal pleasure, like really feeling pleasurable in the skin you're in, and then allowing that pleasure to allow you to connect with other people in pleasurable ways and with life. Because when you have pleasure with yourself, life is more pleasurable. You're excited about it. You enjoy it. You're like liberated. And when you don't, you just shut down, you know, and you go towards unhealthy coping mechanisms, you form codependent relationships, and so on. So it says, as children, pleasure comes to us through touching and closeness, play and stimulation, and validation of our emotional experience. Children take pleasure in being alive and reaching out with that aliveness to encounter the world, to be met with love and encouragement, and that reaching is to meet life as a pleasurable experience. So, something to ponder on. And hold on one moment. I'm just going to check something real quick. Okay, we shall be good. So, ask yourself, how was pleasure regarded in your family? Was it frowned upon or indulged in? Like, how did your parents interact with pleasure? Or just everybody. Did your family take time for vacations, laugh together, and play? Was there a predominant message that hard work and self-sacrifice were necessary for survival or the means to spiritual fortitude? Were work and play, self-discipline and pleasure brought into balance? How do these attitudes reflect in your own orientation toward pleasure? That's deep. That's so deep. When I first read this, I was reflecting on, you know, what my father viewed as pleasure, what my mother viewed as pleasure, which were very unhealthy, coping mechanisms, I feel like. And just like, yeah, were there time for vacations? Nah. One vacation a year, and not even consistently. And then, like I say, with my father, it was like, we took a trip to Florida when I was young one time. It was amazing. I loved it. It was like, we had photos, you know. After that, we didn't take trips until I was like out of high school, and that's when the photos came back into the experience again. Because I'm like, why is like that one of the only times that my father took photos of me? Like, other than that, my grandma, his mom, took photos on holidays. But other than that, I'm like, we had hundreds of photos from that Florida trip, and then I don't have like hardly any photos of me and him up until like whitewater rafting trips. And I'm just like, wow, were memories prioritized? No. Like, memorable experience to him or to them, I'll just say for many people, it's like watching movies. What else? No, nothing. Like, we didn't go out to eat, really. Like, come on now. I was pretty isolated most of my childhood. In my room, playing video games, dancing, just to myself. If I wasn't like, you know, playing basketball for school at practice or whatever, I was just to myself. Or he'd take me to the gym, drop me off. I'd be there for hours playing basketball, swimming, like just away from home. Because at home, we didn't do nothing. We really didn't do nothing. Other than watch scary movies and other movies that were really inappropriate for me at the age. So, yeah. Just ponder on that. And I'll actually take a picture of this too. Like the questions that I just asked, and put them at the end of the video so you can visually see them. And, you know, screenshot it if you need to, just so you can ponder on it and do it that way. So, pleasure invites us to pay attention to our senses, to live fully in the present, to enjoy the experience of being alive. It invites us to relax and dispel stress. Pleasure makes us more receptive to new ideas, more enthusiastic about new tasks or demands. Through pleasure, we extend our awareness throughout the intricate network of nerve endings that constantly connect the inner and outer worlds through the medium of consciousness. Pleasure invites us to integrate something, while pain pushes us to separate and disown. Ooh, this is good. Our culture equates maturity with the ability to deny pleasure. We are often told to put our pleasures away as we grow older. Ugh, I don't know why I'm like choking on my tongue. It seems like I'm not, but you know, it feels like it. I'm about to swallow my tongue. Why am I? To sit still, work hard, deny or control our feelings. Pleasure we once knew become regulated by guilt, held inside by rigidity in the body and rigidity in our thinking. What becomes rigid also becomes brittle and fragile. Because of its fragility, a rigid system needs to be strongly defended, and that defense results in a closed state. When we are constricted, the flow of the life force is limited. When we let go and flow freely, we can literally carry more charge or excitement in the body. So like the more we heal our chakra system, our energy within our bodies, letting go becomes easier, because especially when we're talking about like our belief systems and things that we have to unravel and get to the root of, when we can train our mind to see the greatness in all things, in ourselves and within everything, while also seeing the not great aspects, of course, but it's just about like reprogramming our mind to like trust that what's happening is for the greater good, that our emotions are temporary, that, you know, this experience isn't forever. Then we can really let go and embrace the changes of life. We don't feel like a circumstance that is happening is our end be all. We can be like, okay, this isn't pleasant, but it's not the end. You know, I can get through this, and I trust that there's beauty on the other side. That's what allows us to be able to flow too. That's why movement is so important too, because not only like can we reflect and, you know, heal through our childhood experiences, our adult experiences, get to the root of that, like our suffering in that way, by moving the body through yoga, through dance, let's say de-stricts, or it creates more flow within our bodies. So the muscle tightness and things loosened, and then the flow of energy, it's not constricted anymore. It begins to flow more than it's flown. So that's when we can get more insights, more clarity about our experience in its totality, more ideas, and so forth. Yeah, and then as we feel our emotions through journaling, through just honoring them as they come, the energy flows. We're literally letting go of suppressed energy so that we can feel the full life force running through our bodies, and we're connected to the divine in all things, and we feel so alive. So yeah, so when primary healthy pleasures are denied, secondary pleasures take over. So I said drinking, smoking, responsibility, drugs, sexually acting out, or overeating. Since secondary pleasures cannot really satisfy our longing for primary pleasures, our lack of satisfaction makes us crave more, forming a basis for addictions. There is a ravenous hunger to feel good, a hunger that is never truly satisfied. Healthy pleasure brings satisfaction. Addictive pleasure brings a craving for more. Now reflect. Have you ever been addicted to drugs, to alcohol, to cigarettes, to food? Like, not feeling like, have you ever felt like you don't need more of something? Because that's how you begin to feel when you're in a more healthy state. So emotions. Feelings are the unconscious reaction. Okay, so if the senses bring in raw information, feelings are the unconscious reaction to this information, and emotions are the way we organize our feelings. Without consciousness, emotions govern our reactions. We may get angry, fall in and out of love, feel depressed or afraid, but these emotions generally arise from the depths of our psyche, quite of their own accord. We may choose the way we respond to these emotions, but the feelings have a life of their own. There can be no transforming of darkness into light. Once on our quest, emotions help unravel the story of our soul's journey. Feelings emerge from the unconscious, from the instinctual core of the body, and move up from the lower chakras to inner consciousness. We react in certain ways, but we do not always know why. Feelings captivate our consciousness, fixating our attention until we unravel their mystery. People are so loud. Goodness. Like, come on now. Come on now. High schoolers done got out and they're all loud at the library. I need y'all to calm down. There you go. So that's expected, I guess. So needs are necessities, they're not idle longings. So it's about not denying your needs anymore. Desires. Desire is a spiritual emotional impulse that inspires us to move to something greater, to embrace change. If we do not desire anything, the senses shut down, we lose our aliveness. We have no motivation to move forward. And just so you know, I'm also reading about like the basic issues of the second chakra, because I don't think I said that in the previous video. Desire may lead to frustration, but that frustration gives us powerful lessons for growth. Desire is not the trap, but the fuel for action. It is the object of our desires that often get confused. Only by staying in touch with our feelings can we truly know our soul's desire. Only by knowing our deepest desires can our will have clarity. Otherwise, the unacknowledged desires sabotage the will by fighting against it. This brings us to the shadow. Let me see. So the shadow. Since the second chakra produces the first major change of consciousness, the first experience of opposites, and represents literally the number 2, it is associated with duality and polarity. Thus, one of the tasks of the second chakra adult development is to integrate previously polarized or one-sided aspects of our personality into an indivisible whole. I had to pause the video, so I'm gonna just start off where I left off. We were talking about the shadow. So in the second chakra, our work is to reclaim the shadow. The shadow represents repressed instinctual energies that are locked away in the realm of the unconscious. They do not die or cease to function, but they are no longer part of conscious awareness, no longer directly expressed through our conscious activity. Consequently, they are enacted unconsciously, sometimes with great force. We may think we never get angry, but enact a passive stubbornness that infuriates others. We may deny our own neediness, but subtly manipulate ourselves into the center of attention. Keeping the shadow in chains requires a great deal of energy and robs the whole of its grace and power. Furthermore, it just doesn't work. Like, when we try to suppress how we feel, our trauma, our pain, it just doesn't work. Our outer realities reflect that. Our relationships, everything. The shadow chases us in our dreams, like literally in our dream states. We will have nightmares. It's still there. It's like you don't want to think about certain things, and you try to suppress it. You don't want to feel certain things. You try to suppress it through drugs, alcohol, etc., but it will always come up because you haven't dealt with it. Like it says, it sabotages our work and relationships. It energizes compulsive activities. When the shadow is repressed, we are cut off from our wholeness and from our ground. As the instinctual energies are a large part of the child's psyche, we are also removed from the innocence and spontaneity. Why can I not say some of these words? Spontaneously. You know what I'm saying? Of the inner child. When the shadow remains unacknowledged, it is projected onto others. Like a hidden shape over which we shine our inflated light, the shadow is seen parading shamelessly in the behavior of those around us, while we remain righteously virtuous. Psychologist Hal Stone suggests that this judgment arises out of resonance between the rejected self and the behavior of an other. Because before this it says it makes us very uncomfortable to be around someone expressing our shadow energies. I see this all the time. Like someone casting judgment towards me, meanwhile they wish to express themselves in a way that I'm expressing myself in a setting. And they judge that because they don't feel like they can do it, or they're not allowing themselves to do it. Our judgment is an attempt to negate the source of our discomforts. So Halstone suggests that this judgment arises out of the resonance between the rejected self and the behavior of the other. Okay, just like 20 more minutes, or not even, 15. It is hard for the unemotional, rational type to be around someone who is emotional because it awakens his rejected emotions. Whew. Since this aspect of his personality is not allowed expression, the stimulus must be removed at all costs. If it is not removed, his rejected self will awaken to the point where he can no longer keep it in check, a point that seems dangerous to the ego's concept of self. Through judgment, we attempt to remove stimuli that might awaken our shadow. Whew. Reclaiming the shadow dissolves judgment and brings greater acceptance of self and others, and restores an essential wholeness. That's deep. Naturally reflecting on so many people. So without expressing our personality, the elements of a personality, they do not get to evolve. Our childish tempers don't get to become sophisticated communication. Our neediness doesn't get met with love and intimacy. Our sexual urges become compulsive fantasies. Our shadow elements, like rejected children, resort to more and more extreme behavior to get attention. Reclaiming the shadow means that we reclaim the instinctual energies of our needs and desires so that they can be channeled in appropriate ways. It does not mean we surrender consciousness to the shadow, but that we instead bring the shadow into consciousness. Phew. Let me see how much longer I have to go. Okay. So another issue of the sacral chakra is guilt. Guilt is says demon. I don't like saying that, but it's like the opposite of what we want in the sacral chakra, because it curtails the free flow of movement, largely by taking pleasure out of it. Guilt sequesters the shadow into its dark and unconscious realm. We might say that guilt is the prison guard that keeps the shadow caged, keeping it from coming into light of consciousness. As a result, the caged shadow becomes more insistent and the prison guard must tighten his control. Guilt polarizes the personality. It divides light against dark, good against bad. We are wonderful one day and horrible the next, all because of something we did. The brighter the light, the darker the shadow. The greater the guilt, the more we try to emancipate ourselves by flawless behavior. Like, when I'm reading this, I naturally reflect on other people. And I also can see certain behaviors that I've had that I'm like, okay, I can see why I would mask myself, and try to be perfect. Whew. Flawless behavior inhibits the natural flow. Oh, okay. What did I just say? Because I like that. The greater the guilt, the more we try to emancipate ourselves by flawless behavior, trying to act like we're perfect or remain perfect at all costs. Flawless behavior inhibits the natural flow of energy moving up from the lower chakras and tends to polarize mind and body. A polarized personality is characterized by either or thinking. Without the multiplicity of the rainbow, we find ourselves locked in black and white choices. For young children with a limited understanding of the world, what does it say? It is quite necessary to be taught morals. But to not be taught morals and to remain in black and white thinking is to remain in an immature cognitive process. Children who live in fear of punishment get frozen in this either-or thinking. Understandably, they want the rules to be so clear that they can behave accordingly and remain safe. I like this quote. It says, if we all were to sit in a circle and confess our sins, we would laugh at each other for lack of originality. We all have so many things in common when in regards to patterns and behaviors that we've picked up on since childhood through our parents, and we've reenacted what they've done. So if we really were get to know each other and talk about our past experiences, we would see just how alike we are, just how similar we are. But we've been taught so much division and to fear the next person, to not speak out of to not interact with our neighbors, whether the color of their skin, what they look like, in any other way, and so on. Because there's just this fear that's been blasted over news, over everything, this dysfunctional way of being and things that have kept us from doing so, if that makes sense. So I'm gonna get off right here because my baby's hungry, but I'll be back with some wisdom on the solar plexus in the next video. So I love you all. Take care.